Morning.
Okay, let's do a roll call. Dorothy Soresi is here. Rick Caputo.
Here.
Annette Hansen.
Here.
Michael Lim.
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. Robert Aberson.
Here.
And Rayanne is on her way, correct?
Yes.
Great. So we definitely have a quorum. Yay.
The first of how many?
Well, you know, interesting you should say that. Everybody must have read the draft summary minutes.
Said you're losing your...
that we were annoyed. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Hey!
Is that Rayanne?
That's
And a
Rayanne.
colleague, yeah, okay.
There you go.
Hello. I'm sorry I was late. There was a little accident, so I apologize.
You're right on time.
You're right on time. Thank you.
Oh, thank
Welcome.
you.
Great to see you.
Thank
Do we want to do a roll for the department? Who's here?
Marcos Vahidi, Deputy Secretary of State.
Akhil Qureshi, Supervising Licensed Investigator.
Arnita Gant, District Manager.
New Albany.
Albany?
Whitney Clark, Department of State. Mary Jo Moore, Department of State.
Denise Tice, Department of State.
Ruth Singer, BPSS. Carol Fansler, Department of State.
Donna Zoller, Department of State.
Mark Mastrobuno, Department of State.
Amy Evans, Department of State.
Aisha Battle, Director of Consumer Protection.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. A special thanks for the department for getting our draft minutes together, and as well as our changes to all of the aesthetics committee and the form so that we could all look at it. I think the first thing on the agenda is the September 24th meeting summary. I think we have that. Yes, yeah. I believe we voted on that because we did have a quorum on that.
No,
we did.
No, we did not?
we didn't have a quorum at the last meeting, which is when we would have voted on it.
Right, okay, that's right.
Okay.
Okay. So can we take a look at any changes to this summary meeting? I don't remember if we made changes.
Carol, you put in the changes that we made already?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we need a recommendation to approve.
I so move we accept the minutes of September 24th, 2012.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ray. And then we need to take a look. We need to take a look at the summary minutes from January 14th meeting.
We won't have a quorum again.
Right, we did not. We changed to final. Right.
Okay.
That's on our agenda. Recommendation to approve? Let's see if there's any changes.
Carol, were there all changes that we submitted made?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I so move that we accept the meeting minutes of the New York State Appearance Enhancement Advisory Committee, January 14th, 2013.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. I think at this time we'd like to do an enforcement update.
Okay, I distributed a copy of the report. Did y'all get the reports up in Albany? I sent Carol, I sent you a copy of the report?
I did. Thank you, Anita.
All right. Okay, in April 2013, we launched the inspection program. We started it in just four regions: New York City region, Westchester County region, Hopog and Nassau County regions. During that inspection, we uncovered some unlicensed activity, appearance enhancement businesses, as well as appearance enhancement operators. And down on the bottom, I broke it down by week of our findings. In week 1, 175 appearance enhancement businesses were inspected, 65 unlicensed appearance enhancement businesses were found, 68 unlicensed operators were found. During week 2, 262 appearance enhancement businesses were inspected, 81 unlicensed businesses were found, and 81 unlicensed operators were found. Total of both weeks, we have 437 appearance enhancement businesses that were inspected, 146 unlicensed appearance enhancement businesses were found, 149 unlicensed operators were found. I broke it down by percentages. Out of the first week, out of 175 appearance enhancement businesses that were inspected, 37% of them were unlicensed. Week 2, 30% were unlicensed, and the total 33% were unlicensed. That is the submission of my report.
You did a great job.
Great? That's not great. It's great, but it's not great.
It's great. It's a great job, but it's not great results. The majority of people that were unlicensed, were they expired licenses or never been licenses, or do you know?
We had a combination of
Combination.
both. Yes.
Wow.
To fix this.
Yeah, we do need. How many people?
We
Were,
need to
how many
fix
people?
this.
How many people were visiting? I was asking how many people were visiting on the staff.
How many did
Yeah, how many-
conduct the
yeah.
inspection?
Yeah, how many
How many
were
people
part
on
of
the
the
staff?
staff, investigation staff?
Were there 3,
I
4?
didn't do that. Oh, no, there's more than that.
I would
Okay.
say about 21, 22.
22 staff.
Wow, huge.
Well, now we have to issue fines.
Right.
That's what you have to do. You have to issue fines and violations and threaten the license and the closing of the business.
We have to continuously conduct those investigations. You know
Right.
what those people think? There's no such a license existing. You just come this country, I'm talking about the Asian practitioner.
Can you hear Mr. Lim?
They just come
Can
in
you
this
hear?
country
Yes.
and they feel they don't
Title.
require the license,
Mhm.
so they can start working on it, which creating a lot of problems between the customer and the nail industry people. They are suing each other. So many cases are suing. So I think we should continue to enforce this issue. So make sure they have to wear, they require license to do business. But you ask them, I never heard about license. What is a license? Everybody doing these things without a license. Why should I have to apply for the license for? I have to go to school to learn. That's a problem which we have. I cannot go around and telling the people, you do this, you do that. We really have to have the good continuation enforcement, to make sure, especially these days.
Is this going to continue this investigation for,
Yes,
for
it
how
is.
long? Do we have a time frame or?
Well, we don't have a time frame, but we are going to expand it to cover more areas. But yes, we are going to continue the inspection program.
Especially I would like to recommend you to concentrate in Flushing, Queens area.
We are visiting basically areas of the state. What we did was an analysis of where inspections had been done before, and of course we weren't going to continue to go and show up to the same licensed businesses that know that what they're required to do. So we pretty much chose areas around the state, starting downstate that haven't been visited, before, so that we are able to correct this. And in addition to that, there's a balance because, of course, if they're on license, we don't know about them because they're on license.
Right.
So we also started a campaign. Our press office issued a press release and a consumer alert. Given the time of the year that we're in, we have graduations, galas, and all of that, advising the public to search for licensed operations and what is it that they should have, so that they're aware of it. So it's a combination both on the compliance side, but also on the consumer awareness
Right.
part of it.
Now, we have that consumer brochure,
Brochure.
but has it been updated or translated into other languages?
What we did is that we issued out our own single
Oh, okay.
page, talking points in 6 different languages.
Oh, perfect.
Good,
Okay,
good.
So-
great.
But also, what I would like to recommend you is trying to have a seminar, which we had a long time, many days.
Yeah.
Well, we have been participating, as I've said before, we have been participating and doing individually with organizations. We have been going around the state talking about the license activity. So that's why, this is a combination of different things because we understand that just as there are so many different businesses that some of them advertise themselves and it's easy to tell that, oh, that's an nail salon or that's an appearance enhancement place. Many places sometimes just open up. It could be a boutique. It could be
Correct.
that it has, it's selling clothes in front of the store,
Right.
and it's way in the back when you walk in
Doing
that you
tax-
realize
tax-
that they
Yeah,
have.
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
So
Yeah.
so that's why we're doing a combination of factors just to not only for the business operators to know, but also for the consumer to know.
Right. Well, the industry as a whole is changing, and it's, we have to be really cautious that the consumer is understanding what the business is and what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. I was reading the New York Daily News the other day, and everybody's got a medical spa. They're doing every kind of treatment you can possibly imagine we know where they shouldn't be doing it. So I think one of the things, in addition to the enforcement, we have to make people understand what they're allowed to do. The consumer needs to be aware of what the licensed person is allowed to do under their license so that they don't gravitate outside of that scope. I think keeping them in the scope of what they're allowed to do has been huge to protect the consumer. So it's not only just the enforcement, but it's also so that people know what they're allowed to do. I think that's really been something we're kind of struggling with.
May I ask you a question there, Anita?
Yes.
Out of these appearance enhancement businesses, were they mostly nail salons?
No, they were a combination of
Hair,
hair,
nails. Well, 1 out of 3 is not good.
Right.
That's not protecting the health and safety of the consumer.
But the combination such as what, nail and salon. But now it's a totally different. They have chains. They have everything. So it's a small apartment house. What are you gonna do that? They have foot massage, body massage, nail, salon, the hair, you name it, everything. So it's a small apartment house on the 2nd floor. They rent it out. You go to Flushing, like 162nd Street. The signs are all over the place. It's like
It's like a spa on the 2nd floor. Really, I mean.
the rent is cheaper on the 2nd floor.
Right.
Nail is higher, so they can afford it to pay the rent. So they rent it out the 2nd floor. They put the big sign on it. You got everything in there. You walked in, everything. You name it. I don't know whether they have a license to practice. I have no idea because I'm not authorized to check those things. But I can tell you certainly,
Public has
99% they don't have any license to practice there. That's the problem. You can go upstairs, can find out, or what's the?
They can.
Well, I mean, if we find areas of concern that is under the jurisdiction of another authority, then we refer that to the other authority.
What do you mean, another authority?
Because what you're saying that there's multiple businesses in one location. Our authority is over the appearance enhancement industry. So, but if we suspect that there's some concerns in other areas that agencies that license them or should license them, then we can refer it to those other agencies.
You mean like massage?
Correct.
Right, because we don't.
That's-
That's not under our
Well,
jurisdiction.
I've been trying to conduct a investigation with the law enforcement agency people and the licensing division, the representatives, to go together. So they can go anywhere they want to go. If you walked in, they put the curtain on it. Okay? So behind the curtain, I don't know what they're doing. I know what they're doing.
Oh boy,
So
that's
you
even
walked
worse.
in, you just look at that area. You can't allow to go behind the curtain. So that's the problem. There's so many things doing it behind of the curtain. That's why I was trying to arrange with the police department, joint enforcement. and then go together, so they're allowed to go anywhere they want to search. So you can see what they're doing at.
I mean, I guess
That's the
that
main
sounds
thing.
like cross agency activity sounds like a good idea.
Let me know. I'm the chairman of the Advisory Council Police Department, City of New York. I'm also chairman of the Queens TA. So you let us know. We can help you out to work together as a team. And also the seminar, I will conduct a seminar. If you can provide all your people to come and speak.
I'm sure we could arrange that.
Yeah, we can arrange.
You know,
We can arrange that.
at one time when we first started to do the different licensing, we did seminars all over the state. We did one at LaGuardia Airport, we did one on Long Island, we did one in the city, we did a couple in the Bronx, we did some upstate, so that pockets of communities were able to come in, and we had people there explaining to them that these are some of the newer regulations, these are the things that are changing, this is what you need to be aware of. So the licensees, you know, obviously, you know, we want people to continue to work. We don't want them to be working illegally. And we want them to find the best route to get that and to be in compliance, particularly with disinfection, sanitation, and consumer protection. I think that that's huge. We'll always have a percentage of illegal people working. We know that. That's in every industry, I think. But, you know, 1 out of 3 salons that were checked to be out of compliance with something that is pretty significant. You know, when 81 businesses and there's 81 unlicensed operators, that's huge.
It's a lot.
That's huge.
My name is Charito Cisneros, and from New York Cosmetology and Beauty Chamber of Commerce. We have almost 5,000 members in our organization now. The complaint about the Spanish people is when the inspector goes to the salon, they don't tell them what kind of ticket they put it in. The only thing they return the envelope to how much they have to pay.
Right. They don't tell them the violation.
They don't talking about violation. Sometimes one inspector say one thing and another inspector say another different way.
Right.
So that means they are confused. That's the reason most of the time we are doing the symposium with Mr. And we do it in the symposium. Now we continue doing that like a seminars because I don't want to bother the state of New York, the licensing department, because last week we did in another workshop. We do have 78 people in Queens because for me it was easy to get all those business owners as a teacher from Wilk Academy. So most of them, they know me. So that means it's really important to the Spanish people giving more information because last week also have one of the members, they have opened the business for 14 years. And the inspector went to the salon, not even had a certificate of open the business because they doesn't know. In her country, they don't know, they just put in the business. That means we need to educate the people a little more. Also, the business owner salon, I talk about the Spanish people, most of the Spanish people, they don't even know how to open the computer because all the information is right there.
Right.
But we need to give it out, hand it out, the paper in the hands, and give it more seminar, like in Connecticut. They invited me. They have almost 600 people now. They're starting to work at 5 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning because most of them, they don't have the licenses. And they're starting in New York now.
Right.
To avoid to have those problems, we have to give you more seminars, continuous seminars.
Thank you, Mrs. Cisneros. It's definitely a grassroots, a grassroots effort that has to be done, really just to protect the industry, because to have that many people unlicensed and then consumer complaints and people getting poor service, it doesn't look good on us. It doesn't really look good on anybody, but the industry really suffers. Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
I wanted to ask, when you've given these seminars, have any of them ever been given in this area at all? In the Western New York, up through here? The reason I ask, there's so many more that have...
Are you volunteering?
Sure, I would do
there
it.
she goes, yeah.
Because we have a lot of people coming from the Canadian, from Canada, from the Toronto area. That's what I see in this area more than anything else. So I know you have a huge problem in that area with it. But I think ours is a little quieter up here, but I think we still have the same problem.
Yeah, thank you. I think maybe we can touch base later and kind of organize some stuff to do some grassroots stuff.
And I would be more than happy to help out in that area.
I'm sure you would. I think we just volunteered you.
I think so too. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think because we are so close to other states, the borders, there's a lot of people that don't know. We are definitely, an industry that caters to people who may not have the computer skills that are necessary to be able to, access information. And with any new regulations that are coming out, I'm concerned that those that are licensed and operating are not going to be in tune to what's coming down the road. So, maybe that's something we can work on together as a group. I know they were pretty successful, and we had a lot of people that volunteered to go and to speak at these sessions and
last year,
produce information.
Last year, I have mentioned this before. Last year, the governor did a campaign where several agencies got together. We were traveling the state, not only with respect to appearance enhancement, but different types of professions. Because the issue is bigger in terms of for the small business owner.
Oh, absolutely.
They don't necessarily understand where to get a license and for what particular practice and which agency. They also don't necessarily understand where to register their business, and understanding that it's different to register a business in a locale than it is to get a license. And in addition to that, and it's the issue that mostly affects appearance enhancement, understanding how to keep track of sales tax. Because that's pretty much where that's where you have the businesses turn over and have to close because they forget or for whatever reason they don't collect the sales tax, and therefore they run afoul of the law, and that issue continues. So it's a multifaceted issue, that we have been trying to address and that we will continue to address across agencies.
Well, I'm sure that all of us would be able to help. Because we do have a lot of contacts, and we can do a lot of grassroots stuff in organizations, and many of us belong to multiple organizations, professional organizations that deal with the people that are working. So if we can get that information to them, hopefully that'll work.
And again, it just goes to our desire for continuing education credits to be linked to license renewal, because if we put these new regulations into effect, like no double dipping, single-use spatula, disposable, we've got to reach all these people. Gloves, we got to reach these people. Only way to reach them, if they're licensed, is that we tie it to continuing education. And the other way to reach these people is just what Mr. Marcos says. We have to have a grassroots campaign, and it takes time, and we have to volunteer, and we'll be happy to volunteer. But
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying 1 out of 3 is really risque.
I would think a lot of this information, if it was sent to the suppliers, and possibly the suppliers gave it out to, they have to get their supplies somewhere.
Absolutely.
The suppliers passed it out to the people that came in and purchased things, in their bag.
Absolutely.
Maybe that might be something that might start a little bit of help for us.
And for those that do buy their supplies, once they get something in the bag, be it Cosmo Prof, Sally's, or any of those organizations, that word spreads very quickly. Just like I'm sure the inspections of, the underground, it all transpires.
Right.
So again, whatever we can do to rectify this situation and clean up the industry, we'd be happy to do.
Because this is definitely, you're right, this is definitely a scary situation.
Very scary. And, considering the number that has been done and the number of actual licensed businesses there are, it's a very small percentage, really, when you look at, that's why I asked how many staff members, because you could spend, do 3 salons in a day if you're lucky. Depending upon what you find. It could take you no time at all, or it could take you hours to go through stuff. Okay. On another note, one of the things that we did, and we're going to be talking about it, obviously under some new business, is the continuing ed, because we do think that it's important that licensees are familiar with stuff. Early testing. Whitney, I'd like to turn that over to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Great. Nice to talk to you again.
The draft regulation has been prepared. By law, we are required to do some outreach before we propose a rule. So we've reached out to our colleagues at the education department to help us with that. I heard last week from Cheryl Winstill that the secondary public schools are in favor with moving ahead with the proposal. I believe Carol Yates is still waiting to hear back from the Beauty School Association.
Actually, I did hear from Anthony Civitano, and he's in favor of it for the Beauty School Association.
Yeah.
Very good.
No, we didn't. I did. It's okay.
Yeah, so the next step is to submit the proposal for review through the governor's office, and I can take care of that. I can get that process underway by our next board meeting.
Great. Excellent. We're very excited to see that. And Whitney, thanks for all your help on that. I know it's
You're welcome.
it's been a challenge. The next item on our agenda is the material safety data sheets stored electronically. Whitney, I'm going to turn that over to you again.
Sure. I think it's next to our mind.
They are.
Yep. That is me.
That is you.
This would change our regulations to allow for the electronic storage of the material safety data sheets. The paperwork has all been prepared and it's currently being reviewed by the governor's office.
Just a minute.
So, as soon as I hear from them, I'll let you know.
Right.
This process, it can take some time, but you never know. At least it's over there.
Right. This is another area where business owners should be advised that, they do have this option now, and obviously, it's going to be optional, but with the introduction of the iPads and other material, it's going to be a significant savings for most of our operators who have to, change suppliers in the event of an emergency. I think that this is going to be huge. And the next item on our agenda is the regulations required for e-licensing, the initiative.
Right. Amy Pensevine told me this morning that we are scheduled to go live with the new program by the end of July. So this regulation is further along. We've received the approvals from the governor's office and the Department of Budget. So it was proposed in the state register and is currently open for public comment. I haven't received any public comments yet, but we can continue to receive them through June 15th. At the end of the public comment period, I can go ahead and adopt the regulations so they can be in place in time for the go live date of e-licensing.
Excellent. And this is another area where, obviously we want to make people aware. Am I correct when I say we're also going to be doing renewals this way?
Licensing, yes.
Renewals, yes.
Yes, that is also part of the proposed project implementation. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything that we can do online, we're going to try to do online.
Excellent. All the more reason why we need to do this whole grassroots thing so that people know that this is coming up and not expect something to come in the mail.
May I just ask a question? These new teacher licenses, they do not have to be sponsored by a school?
Correct.
What does that have to do with it?
No, just because the first license it just went to the person and not the school. So I was just asking the question.
That's part of the regulation.
This is Carol Yates from Proprietary Schools.
Hi,
That
Carol,
is correct.
Yeah.
Hi, Annette. Our law changed it was effective December 17th, and teachers now hold their own licenses.
Okay, thank you.
So it will go to the individual's home. It's their responsibility to share it with the school.
Right.
Right.
Thank you, Carol. I'm all in favor of that, I may add. Okay, action items, aesthetics curriculum. We were kind enough to get an updated aesthetics curriculum overview. This was the latest and greatest educational requirement that we worked on. Special thanks obviously to the department. This was a laborious, time-consuming initiative, as well as Carol. Thanks to Dr. Rayma for helping us. He sat in on our last few meetings also to, give us his input also. This, to my recollection, and I'm proposing that this aesthetics curriculum be accepted with the revisions that were currently presented and the topics that were set forth. It's 600 hours. It's a 2-year process that we worked on. I believe it's current. It's flexible enough to change with some new techniques that are coming up. We've placed a lot of emphasis on skills that are being done today by the esthetician. So I would like to have a proposal to have it accepted.
I propose that the new revised 600-hour aesthetic curriculum be accepted and put into law.
I'll second that, Dorothy.
Thank you, Rick. Yay. This is another instance where, yes, it's another department that's involved, Carol's department, but it's another way that we have to let a lot of our schools know that they've made some slight changes and that they would have to make some curriculum changes. I've taken the liberty of sending this, excuse me, as I've gone and made some changes and worked with the committee. I've taken the liberty of sending it to all of the members of the New York State Beauty School Association, not only for their input as well as some of the BOCES schools, but just to let people know that there are some changes coming up and to get their input. So we are very happy that this is finally approved. Now on to the next one. And I want to thank everybody, particularly from the department that's worked so hard on this, because it was a labor of love. And not always nice. Yeah, there's always a lot of strong members on this committee. And there are 5 or 6 subcommittee members that are not here that really worked on this also. So I want to thank them for their help. We have a new agenda item on new business under continuing education. One of the assignments that we had was to follow up and look at some assignments for continuing education. What else was our assignment? Continuing ed.
And
Yeah.
the limitation
The
on
limitations of the length of
application.
applications. Ray, Whitney, Annette, and I had a conference call last week to kind of come up with some proposals that we'd like to present to the committee. We talked about continuing education in length, and as you can see, when 1 out of 3 operators is working without a license, or the salon may be in violations, particularly with current regulations for sanitation and whatever. One of the things that we really wanted the department to think about was requiring for a licensee to renew their license to have continuing education. We took the liberty of looking at what many other states have, and one of the things that we came up with is some overview of where people stand. What we did want to do with the continuing education is to have a percentage of the education in the disinfection and sanitation areas. We were looking at 16 hours, which would be every renewal cycle, which would be about 4 hours per year. 4 hours per renewal cycle, with a minimum of 4 of those hours being in disinfection and sanitation. We believe that it's a way of keeping our licensees abreast of changes. There's a multitude of continuing ed available to people, both online, in seminars, etc. And we really would like to present to the committee the option of carrying this further and really taking a look at how to keep our licensees up to date with things that are happening, consumer-wise as well as product-wise. So we would like to propose that we take this further and take a look at the availability and the proposal of continuing ed of 16 hours per year, per renewal cycle.
Okay, Dorothy, I think what we'll do, you sent me some great material comparing the different continuing education requirements in different states. I'm going to meet internally with licensing staff to review that and to get some input from program. I know one of the things we're going to want to look at is, if we do go for a continuing education requirement, are we going to permit distance learning methods as well as classroom?
Whitney, and I apologize. I said that I would hopefully have the opportunity to get you some additional information on the delivery systems in many of the states, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance last week. But I will get you some additional information about who's approved for distance ed, how the seminars are done, how the states certify, because I happen to be involved in many states that have continuing ed that do it online, as well as I'm a continuing ed provider in 4 or 5 different states for my licensees. So I will get you some additional information on how, so that you have some background work also.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
We were
Dorothy?
also going.
Yes.
I'm sorry. As long as you're getting that information for her, could you send me a packet of that also?
Absolutely.
So I could review it?
Sure.
Anything that pertains to this, and I can review that, so if and when we meet again on this, I'll be up to date on all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we put you on the. That's why we put you on the committee.
I think I'm getting a lot of work here. Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. My pleasure. And again, thank you for volunteering and taking your time out for the conference call and stuff. We appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. One of the things also we looked at some advanced services for the licensees. As we talked about, people that are being unlicensed and working within their own discipline. We also looked at some additional continuing as well as advanced aesthetics programs. And I think, again, we're going to have to take a look at that. One of the things that we've had a lot of input, and I've received a lot of calls from constituents, is the laser hair removal that we've talked about and the curriculum that we worked on a couple years ago. I think we need to bring that back up because that, again, is something that's being done. And, again, unlicensed, I'm sure, in some instances. And we do want to revisit that option. And Whitney, I'm not sure if you had anything else that you wanted to add to that.
After we met, I took a look at my material from several years ago when we first started looking at this issue, and we're working on a regulation for prohibited services, and there were some other procedures and techniques that we were talking about then that I'd like the subcommittee to readdress to see if these are things that should be prohibited, per se, or that could be permitted under some kind of enhanced aesthetics license.
Yes, and I think both Ray, Annette, and I are going to look at that for you and get those lists together. One of the reasons that I bought all the local papers this morning was to kind of go through all of the ads in the back, because then you see what's being advertised, and that's a good way to kind of backtrack. They were talking, the veins and the this and the that and tattoo removal, etc. So we really want to see what's being advertised in the papers as well as on websites, and then we'll kind of backtrack from there and say, okay, who should be licensing this, if anybody?
I can check into some of that from this end too, and give you the information. Actually, there was a tremendous amount in our paper advertised for Mother's Day. I guess there must be ugly mothers here or something that they want them prettied up a little bit.
We had a lot of them here too. Actually, I got all of the papers and went through all of the services. I mean, I wanted to get everything done myself. So, whatever. And that's, again, something that we're going to take a look at, because I do think that, we really need to define what the licensee is allowed to do. And that, again, is something that we have to make our licensees aware of, what they're allowed to do with their license and what they're not allowed to do. And what was the other item?
How long the license?
And then the other item that the committee had our conference call about, we talked about the length of time that somebody can extend their training without actually going for the license. And subcommittee tossed this around a little bit, and one of the things that we feel in changing environment is that we wanted the committee to take a look at requiring licensees or applicants for licensure. If somebody's graduated and hasn't taken their license within a 5-year period, the committee was looking to require that that person take some type of a refresher course, a percentage of their original course before they actually become licensed. This is a big concern for us. Again, somebody 5 years out of school, may not be working in the industry, may be doing something different, may have no connection with the industry whatsoever. And then this person comes in, excuse me, and they become licensed, eligible for license without any certification that their methods are current. And we feel that this will help cut down on some concern. We hopefully believe that some of this will go away with early testing, and it won't become a concern for us. But as an educator, I'm very concerned that somebody's out of school 12, 15 years, applies to the state and has a license, but yet it's not current in disinfection, sanitation, or any consumer methods or techniques. So I really worry about that.
I think that also plays on when we talked about continuing education, because I think what happens a lot of times is people will keep their license, make sure updated all the time, and never have any continuing education, and then go back and start working after 15 or 20 years, and we have no idea what they're doing. So I think this plays upon continuing education. I think it all works together.
It does all work together. I'm a firm believer in that also, and I kind of look at, like, I have a lot of friends that live in the city that have driver's licenses, and believe me, you would never want them to get behind a wheel of a car, because none of them have ever driven in 20 years. But they just continue to renew their driver's license because it's an easy ID. And, what happens in this industry, because it is predominantly female, things happen in their lives and they leave the industry or they come back or, whatever. So we want to leave that option open for people, but we want them to be employable and marketable.
And I also think no matter how old you are, you can always learn something. So even if you've had your license for 20 years and have worked, as long as there's continuing education, you can learn what's new in your field.
You're absolutely correct. From my point of view, all of our educators, they're required to have continuing ed every year to stay employed in an accredited school. So to us, it's a no-brainer because we know that it's a requirement anyway. But the licensees necessarily don't have it. So I do think that based upon the technology and the rapid pace in which technology is changing, we would like to have the committee think about putting that together. And we did toss around about 10% of the course, meaning if it was a cause person for 1,000 hours, they would have to do 100. If somebody was a 600-hour aesthetics person, they would do 60, and 10% for the nail person also. So, it's again something we would like the committee to think about.
Again, this is for the student to be successful, because how this was brought about is one of our students came to our school with a 12-year-old signature of the school, and they said, I'm going to do my license, and we said, well, we want you to come back, we want to help you, and they said, no, I've got it signed, and of course she failed, it's a guaranteed failure. 12 years, you're going to write, you're going to go. So we called our associate, he said there was no limitation on my signature. So this is how this all started up with early testing initiative. It's the theory and the techniques, but the theory, how could anyone remember all those textbook answers and pass without some help from us, which we're willing to give? And as Rayanne said, we don't want them to lose. Things happen in their life, but we feel they need help, they need a brush up, they need a refresher to be successful.
Right. That really is the motive behind it, obviously, that the person is allowed to be employable whenever they are able to be employed. So if we overcome some of the obstacles for that person for employment, we hope that we'll be able to help them. But I think those are the things that were on my agenda. Public comment? Any comments?
Dorothy, at the last meeting, did we discuss the time limit, and weren't we going to put that into action? I didn't think it was anywhere close to 5 years. I thought it would be much less than that.
Well, It's still up for discussion, Rick, obviously. I mean, we thought, as we looked at, some of our VOTEC students who go to college and maybe aren't willing or able to take their exam right away and then they come back, I think that's what we were really looking at. And I think at that time it would be only people who have never tested. I'm not sure how you feel about that. We didn't discuss it at length.
It needs discussion. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's been batted around for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really think I need to reach out to some of the constituents and find out, is it prevalent in some areas? Is it more of a downstate situation than it is an upstate? And really, generally, what is the time frame?
And we can do a survey of all the states to see what they allow.
Yeah, well, we do need to do that. But I think we need to reach out to some of our constituents in the association and find out, what are they struggling with? How long is it for many of their students where they haven't taken exams? Is it a concern for you? What happens in Albany?
Same thing.
Well, how long?
10 years, 15 years. And they act like it, like it's like we have to sign off on them. And
it's an emergency immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
And I think it happens in the setting with younger students that are coming out of vocational schools, out of BOCES, because they're 17 when they graduate. They don't know what they want to do. By the time they're 23, 22 or 23, that's when they say, yes, I think that's what I want to do. Somebody help me. So I think these students are younger, but I think there needs to be a time frame on this. I definitely am in agreement with you.
But if the student hadn't been tested within 5 years, then they would have to take a refresher class.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Which I think would help alleviate some of that, and hopefully, they would take the test early. We're hoping.
Right.
But
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't.
I hope so too.
We haven't looked at if they take within 5 years, if they take the refresher class. Hopefully they'll go for their license then. If that doesn't happen, I don't think we've looked at long-term what the situation would be. I did promise Whitney, and I didn't get a chance to do it because I was away last week traveling, but I will give her a list of what other states are doing, who takes away 500 hours, who takes away all of the hours, who, when a student, their license is expired, has to go back for hours, etc. So there's variables all over the different states, and I think we need to be aware of that, particularly in our neighboring states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. I think it's really huge. I can tell you in Massachusetts, after 5 years, you have no hours. And in New Jersey, I'm not sure if it's 7 or 10 now. Yes?
In the education department, we keep closed school records. And it's not uncommon for someone to call up and request records from 30 years ago. We don't have those records, but someone would say, well, I'm unemployed and I need to do something, and even though I'm 72 years old.
Sure.
So we do see it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and we see it at the schools too, Carol, and there are many of my colleagues who will allow the students to come in and prep and take refresher classes at no cost, obviously, because we want them to pass the exam. But even the practical portion is secondary. They have to take and pass the written portion first. And that's always a challenge for us. Because they have to get a book, they have to study, and when you're out of that habit of doing that, it takes a while. Unfortunately, they want you to certify them right away, and they're in a hurry. Immediately. So I think we're all challenged with that, and I agree 100%. It's usually 10 to 15 years. So, and again, I think we have to take a look at it. 30 years. Not unusual, though.
Dorothy, on that same note, where are we taking the practical as opposed to the written first, or vice versa?
That's the way I believe the e-licensing is set up. I may want to refer that back to the department.
The e-licensing regulation. If we're on schedule to adopt, I have by July 8th is my projected adoption date. that will be effective. But that's gonna be part of the new system, so.
So that will go into effect until the new
Until-
system.
Right.
It's implemented at the
Yeah.
end of July, where they can sign up for either exam first.
That'll be up by July.
That's
Great.
the proposed, you know,
Hard.
there's no
Is that
guarantee,
correct?
but right now they're pushing for July
Right.
to be first implementation.
I mean, I think, I'm a little concerned that, I sent that out to my membership after our last meeting to make my colleagues aware of it, and they were very concerned. All the more reason why we need to get pre-certification done for the written portion first, because, historically, if the students are just out of school or they're working, their technical skills, their skills to do the practical portion are great, and it's always the theory. And I'm most concerned that if they take the practical portion and pass, my chances of getting them to take the written portion in a timely fashion diminish. So again, it's one of those catch-22 situations. We as an association, we're very concerned about that. But be that as it may, we'll work with it. And but I do believe that that's going to take another situation where schools are made aware that this is an option, that the student's going to be allowed to take whatever test comes up first on the schedule. So that's another information piece.
We definitely will be reaching out to all the schools prior to going live with the changes and.
Yeah, but
and
it's
whatnot,
not a
you know,
lot.
we're getting them involved in the whole process, and we definitely want them to assist us in helping the students be able to apply online and do all that. So definitely we'll be reaching out to the schools in the near future through the Department of Ed, of course.
Are we going to do any testing sessions with the schools to show them how to do the online application process? Or are you just going to
do some testing where the student can apply online and they can select the school that they went to, and then that email is going to go to the school. So we will be testing with some of the schools on that aspect of it. But we also will be doing I don't know that we'll be able to let you get into the actual system, but we'll definitely have screenshots and all that kind of stuff to.
Are you going to do it on a PowerPoint? Right. Are you going to do a PowerPoint?
Yeah, something like that, something that we can provide to the schools, so when they're having students come to them, they'll be able to assist them.
Right. Well, I mean, and the reason why I say that is it's already May 13th,
Yeah.
and it doesn't give the schools a lot of time to get up and running. And when you have a school like I have in Manhattan that has over 500 students, it's not easy to get students that may or may not have access to a computer up and running on what they need to do. So it does take time, as well as training the educators.
And with the BOCES, they're almost finished. Those teachers are almost finished, and the teachers are not there during the summer.
Yeah, I mean they're gone.
The problem is that the system hasn't been totally configured yet, so I mean I can't provide you something that's not ready yet.
Right.
The project has been very aggressive, and we're working really towards getting it up as soon as we can. There's 6 agencies involved, and there's a vendor, and they're doing it for all 6 agencies. So
Sure.
as soon as I can get something and it's done, I will definitely work with the schools.
Right.
It's just that it's a lot going on at the same time.
Well, I've been working on a computer system for 3 years, so I feel your pain. Believe me. And the vendor's gone through, 17 staff changes. So, and it's it's $1 million project. So yeah, I feel your pain. There's nothing worse when you have a new consumer a management system. So we get. I just think that maybe somewhere on your website you could put some notice that something's coming, so that when people go to your website, particularly the vocational education teachers, they know that this is coming up, so that they're aware.
Yeah, we
Because
did have one outreach to the schools already through the Department of Ed, telling them about the e-licensing. That went through the both Carol and Cheryl that went out.
I never saw it.
I have to ask Thomas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, because they were, asking how many of the schools wanted to be involved in the whole affirmation portion of it. So
I didn't see it.
it went through both the proprietary and the
Right.
and BOCES, so.
Well, Rayanne, you can check maybe with your region. I can tell you that only that I've told them, my membership, and Rick has been kind enough to tell the schools in Albany that we deal with, that it's coming, and to my knowledge, none of them know any idea about it. So they've been asking me. So if we could check, that would be great.
Yep, definitely.
Or if they could resend that memo, it would be good.
I think resend the memo also, especially, like I said, with school almost being finished for vocational schools,
Yeah.
they'll be out the second week in June.
Right, right. I mean, they don't even need to send it, just post it on the website and tell us all to pull it down would be great.
Right, exactly.
Okay, great, thank you so much. I know it's gonna be a huge benefit long-term for our licensees. Just being able to, find out when somebody was licensed and where they are in the process, because it gives us the opportunity to kind of work closer with some of our licensees, so I'm really kind of excited about it. We're getting into the right century now with e-licensing. I'm impressed.
It's gotta work.
Great. Any other additional comments or information from public? No?
Show the waxing.
I'm positive, yeah. Whitney, so we're going to take a look at the state register to see if there's any comments on the implementation for your proposals, correct?
Correct. In the register, I gave my email address and my mail address for comments. I haven't received any.
Okay.
If I do, I'll summarize them and send them out to you for review.
Great, great. We don't anticipate any negative comments, but some positive comments would be nice too.
That'd be nice. It's one
Yeah, for all the
comment,
work.
it'd be nice.
Yeah, for all the work that you guys have done to get that up and running, it would be nice to have some positive comments, so maybe we'll make sure that happens. I don't really have anything else on my agenda. Anything else on anyone's agenda from department comments, public comments? Okay, not only do we have a quorum, but it's been a fast meeting.
See what happens when you get a quorum?
I know, we love it, all these great thinkers. I make a recommendation that we adjourn.
I'll second that. Make that motion.
Okay, one more thing, do we have any idea when we'll be doing the next meeting? Or will Carol send us a
Carol will
proposal?
send a
Proposal.
Carol, you're gonna take care of that?
Yes.
We love you, thank you.
We can't see you.
We can't see you, but thanks, as always, great job.
And Dorothy,